Okay, time for a rough map of Africa. I'm not very practiced at this. We will see how it goes. Hopefully, everything will touch the right other countries. So I start with the northwest coast, about a third of the way across the top of the paper. We're going to do a quarter circle like that. Then there's going to be a diagonal that's maybe about a third of this distance. That is under my paper. There. And then the coast is just going to kind of come in. This bops down a little bit, and we'll fill in Northwest Africa. From sort of here to sort of here, this is Western Sahara, stair steps a couple times, and then Morocco kind of zags over. Western Sahara, Morocco. This is contested territory, actually, where Morocco really runs most of Western Sahara, and so different maps will show it a little bit differently, but this is how the one I've got shows it. Now, here the coast comes down a little, then it angles down that away for about that distance. Comes up a little and just fairly straight over again, actually comes down a teeny bit. About those proportions. Now this here, there's a little, I don't know, teardrop shapedy thing that's Tunisia. From at the corner of Western Sahara and Morocco, down at a not quite 45-degree angle, a little shallower, there is Algeria. Now from Tunisia, the border comes down, but it goes over a little and then back that way. And here's Algeria. Libya comes from here, goes up a little, and then down diagonal again to like here. And then we've got Egypt. The border bops up a little here, comes over. Egypt is squarish except for the east coast. Comes down at a little steeper than 45-degree angle, like that. That's the Red Sea. Now there's this little blob of Egypt that hangs over, and that's the Sinai Peninsula. And the other antenna of the Red Sea is going to be here, and then here's Israel and Jordan and all the stuff we learned in Asia. But here is Egypt. And then the coast is going to keep on coming down at about the same angle to just a little north of where this coast is. And that's going to stick up. That's the Horn of Africa. And come down this way. We'll get to that later. Okay, so Algeria, Libya, Egypt. Now, Sudan meets the coast here and comes down to pretty, well, let's see, actually that's South Sudan is pretty level with the with this coast. And Sudan's gonna cut off kind of there. This border just comes down and then does a little hook like that. Now from here, we're gonna jog up a little. Jog up a little. This will be Central Africa. Well, this will be Chad. And Chad angles down at about 45-ish to about under this point of Libya, and then comes down. That's close enough. About halfway up Chad, or a little less. Here's Niger. Comes over to the bottom point of Algeria, and then it's gonna do like this, this is gonna come down like this, and there's this little like fishtail of Niger. And then next to Niger is Mali, which also has a fishtail. So this curve is gonna come down to like there. And then there's a fishtail. This is a really forked fishtail. And then that's just gonna come in and then straight up to the border of Algeria. There's a little bit here. So this is Mauritania, and it does touch Algeria. This is Mali. This is Niger, not to be confused with Nigeria, which is underneath it. Okay. I crowded this coast a little bit, but it's okay. From the fishtail of Mali up a little bit, and then from this part straight over. This is Senegal, but there's a little river in Senegal. Well, the river's not little, it's a big river, but the Gambia, which has its own country around it. The Gambia, and this is Senegal. And then, yeah, I really did cramp this. Let me give this a little bit more room. Then here is a bunch of West African countries. Yeah, it's a mess. Okay. A bunch of West African countries that just kind of make their own little triangle, I guess, there. But here is Guinea-Bissau, GB, and then here is Sierra Leone, and here is Liberia, and all the rest here is Guinea. Oh, bother, hang on. I am cheating and looking at a map just to make sure I don't do anything seriously wrong, but I am good so far. Now, from the Mali fishtail over to the Niger fishtail, you just kind of draw a line, and this is Burkina Faso. This is not a border, this is part of the Mali fishtail. Okay, there's Burkina Faso, here's the Niger fishtail. Now, along the Gold Coast of Africa is Ivory Coast, which touches Mali and Burkina Faso. It splits its north border there. Ivory Coast. Then just on Burkina Faso is Ghana. Then Togo is really tall and narrow. And then Benin touches both Niger and Burkina Faso. Benin for B for both. I get Togo and Benin mixed up, so I remember that Benin is the one that touches both Burkina Faso and Niger. Okay, now the rest of this coast is Nigeria, and then Nigeria diagonals up inland to meet Chad. I forgot to label Chad and Sudan, and here is Nigeria. Good. Now, the coast turns south, and here is Cameroon. It's a sort of triangular-y thing. There. I didn't leave enough width, so Central African Republic's not going to be the right shape. It's wider than it is tall, but so it goes. Central African Republic. And Central African Republic goes right into South Sudan here. My son is practicing trumpet upstairs, you can probably hear. South Sudan. And then over here we have, on the coast is Eritrea. And then a little bitty country, Djibouti. DJ, Djibouti. And then on the coast, Somalia, which wraps around the Horn here. And between the three of these countries, they make Ethiopia not touch the ocean, even though it comes close to it in many places. Here is Somalia, and here is Ethiopia. All right. So that's the top of Africa, and we're on our way. South of Cameroon, there are 3 countries that kind of nest here. This is Equatorial Guinea, EG, and then outside of that is Gabon, and outside of Gabon is the Republic of the Congo. And the Republic of the Congo touches the CAR as well as Cameroon. And they're just sort of like concentric thingies there. And then the Democratic Republic of the Congo, not to be confused with the Republic of the Congo, is a big old country that has it sticks a little tendril out here. It comes down by a couple stair steps. And this border is about halfway across South Sudan, or maybe not quite halfway. And there's a sort of curve, and then it's got another little curve, and it sticks out a little horn there. This is the Democratic Republic of the Congo. East of that, there's Uganda, which only touches South Sudan, not Ethiopia. And under Uganda are 2 little countries, Rwanda and Burundi. There's a big lake here, Lake Victoria, but we don't need to deal with that with the country's borders. From Uganda, slanting down to the Indian Ocean is Kenya. And below Kenya, also slanting down to the Indian Ocean from about this point of the DRC, is Tanzania. Comes down a little, and then here's the coast. Tanzania. Okay. Now, over here, the coast comes down, and here's Angola. Excuse me. And here's Zambia, next to Angola. And their southern border is just kind of a level right across here. Comes up and meets Tanzania. That is Angola, that is Zambia. And then in between, there's a little country in here that's along a lake, Lake Malawi, and the country is Malawi. And it sticks down a little bit, down and to the right a little bit. And wrapping around that is Mozambique, which comes along the coast and then there's a bit of it that wraps up around up around Malawi. So Mozambique is kind of Y-shaped. If you see, there is Mozambique. Okay, now we're almost to the southern part. You angle down, that's Namibia. Namibia's border is a little west of Angola's border, except that Namibia sticks this very long, thin arm over halfway across Zambia. It doesn't touch Mozambique, but it comes all the way over here. And then from there on down, you sort of just scoop out and hit Mozambique. That's Zimbabwe. And then over here is Botswana, just between Namibia and Zimbabwe here. So Botswana, Namibia, Zimbabwe. Then we're just going to do the southern point of Africa. That's South Africa. But inside of South Africa was called Swaziland, now called Eswatini, depending on, I think it's Eswatini in our CC book. And here's Lesotho inside of South Africa. Okay, so that's the whole continent, but there's a number of islands. Here's Madagascar off of Mozambique. There is, I'm not going to get the places right on these, but the Comoros are up here, and the Seychelles, I think, are a little further out, but I could be wrong. And Mauritius is out in the Indian Ocean past Madagascar. And here in the Gulf is Sao Tome and Principe, which is islands. And I think that is all of our countries.